Coming up, new phase.
How long do you think the COVID-19 will last, and when do you think it will end?
It's a question on many people's mind. Dr. John is here with what you need to know. Also, many places across the country are dropping mask requirements in schools. But how do kids feel about going maskless?
It'll be like chaos because some people will choose not to wear their mask, but some people will.
Our kids correspondent Lucy speaks with some classmates in New York City. Plus, did you ever wonder just how text messages work? The answer's ahead. Then, Girl Power, a special exhibit in the nation's capital, is honoring women and standing tall. We'll take you there. And inspiring kids, this student from Texas is on a mission to mentor girls of color.
I don't care how old I am, I'm going to make sure I give these girls the opportunities.
Her remarkable story just ahead.
This is NBC Nightly News, Kids Edition.
Welcome back to Nightly News Kids Edition. I'm Dylan Dreyer, filling in for my friend Lester Holt this week while he's on assignment overseas. I'm so excited to be here, and we've got a super lineup ahead, including this young girl we can't wait for you to meet. Plus, we are going to have a little fun with our pop quiz today. One hint, it's my favorite subject, weather. But let's begin with one of the top stories we continue to follow, and that's the pandemic. This week will mark 2 years since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus a pandemic. But guess what? Recently, some health and government officials have been talking about the coronavirus shifting possibly from a pandemic to an endemic phase. But what does that mean? Our pal Dr. John Torres explains.
It's the biggest question on everyone's mind.
How long do you think the COVID-19 will last, and when do you think it will end?
My question is, when will COVID-19 end, and how will we know?
We've been talking about the coronavirus pandemic for 2 years now. Remember, a pandemic is when a disease spreads rapidly around the world. A pandemic ends when the cases drop and become steady in most countries. But this coronavirus will not go away completely. Right now, officials here in the U.S. are planning for an endemic phase of the virus, so let's break that down. Endemic COVID would mean the virus is constantly present in the U.S., but it is more manageable and somewhat predictable. Cases are steady, it doesn't overstretch our hospitals or disrupt our daily life in the way a pandemic does. There are endemic viruses that we live with. The most well-known, the flu. We expect a portion of the population to get the flu every year, but between the flu vaccine, at-home treatments, and some natural immunity from previous infections, we can help control the number of cases and the severity, so our hospitals are not overwhelmed. But flu can turn into a pandemic like it did in 2009.
Let's talk about the swine flu. The newest numbers from the Centers for Disease Control.
A new strain of flu managed to evade our vaccines and quickly infect people around the world. This is why doctors and researchers are always monitoring for new flu virus strains and updating vaccines, and they'll do the same for coronavirus. A shift to endemic COVID is a sign that we're learning to live with the virus. An important element is that we now have effective vaccines and treatments. But don't put those masks away just yet. You may need to use them as the virus comes and goes in your community. The coronavirus can still be dangerous, and there will still be outbreaks, but hopefully they won't be as disruptive. Scientists say the virus will most likely be regional and more predictable. Once COVID becomes endemic, we can keep it that way by wearing a mask when we're sick and staying up to date on our COVID-19 vaccines. And remember, it's always good to wash your hands frequently.
Dr. John Torres, thank you so much. Well, speaking of the coronavirus, this week saw a big change in many places when it comes to mask mandates, especially in the country's largest school district. The mayor of New York City said kids no longer have to wear masks in school. Our kids correspondent Lucy, a 5th grader in New York City, wanted to know what kids think of this. So she got some friends together for a segment we're calling Lucy Listens.
It might seem like every time you turn on the news, there's always some adult talking about kids and masks. Here in New York, the mayor announced that we won't have to wear masks in school anymore.
And I know there's some who state that they still want their children to wear their mask. You can.
And adults, we appreciate your opinions, but I thought it would be nice to hear what kids think. So I invited some friends and decided to listen. Like, who remembers when, like, the pandemic first started and we all just had to start wearing masks? Like, what did it feel like?
It was really unusual and it was really hard to, like, get used to.
I was like, no one else is going to be wearing a mask. I was like, Mom, you're so weird. And the next day I came to school, like, everyone was wearing a mask, and I was like, is it the apocalypse?
In the beginning, it felt uncomfortable wearing them because you weren't used to wearing something on your face all the time, every day.
Now, it's like natural for me to wear a mask, because if I'm not wearing a mask, it's weird.
Turns out, my friends see some real benefits to wearing masks.
It definitely keeps your face warm in the winter.
It feels like you're kind of protected in a way that you wouldn't think a mask on your, like, just from here down would help with, but it really does. Maybe someone else has issues with their health. I don't want to make other people feel like insecure.
Okay, so are you ever like sick of wearing masks?
I've been wearing those like KN95 masks, but I call it a duck mask because when I'm wearing them, I look like a duck. I literally feel like I'm attaching a beak to my face. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wear this outside.
After you wear a mask for like a long day, you kind of want to like take it off because it kind of hurts like the behind your ear.
How do you all feel about the mayor deciding that we won't have to wear masks in schools anymore?
I think it's good that we've come to a point where we can take our masks off, but at the same time, I feel like it's a little bit stressful to think about not wearing your masks in school because you don't know what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna feel super weird. I mean, I'll feel like, are you like breaking the law?
It is kind of stressful kind of taking it off knowing that COVID isn't 100% over.
Show of hands, who's going to keep wearing a mask anyways?
I'm gonna keep my mask on, but I feel like that even once COVID is gone, that the world will never be the same. So it'll all be still weird.
I think that I'm gonna just keep on wearing it inside because I just don't know if I'm ready yet because it's such a big change.
Another issue that concerns us all is our teachers.
I know my teacher has mentioned that she doesn't want to take her mask off because she had COVID in the past, but her whole family didn't.
It must feel a little weird for them too.
It'll be like chaos because some people will choose not to wear their mask, but some people will.
I know my teacher, I don't think she wants to take her mask off. And if she can't tell kids, like, you have to put your mask on, then it's going to be really hard for her.
One thing that's clear is after 2 years, the change to the mask policy is a big change. It's going to take some getting used to.
I'm probably going to keep a mask on and see like if there's any more COVID cases happening.
I just like looked around the classroom and it was just really strange. Like I haven't actually seen a lot of my classmates like real faces.
It feels really weird because you haven't seen them without their masks on, like at all.
I'm a little stressed out because it kind of only takes 1 or 2 people to spread it throughout the whole class.
I just hope that everything like goes the best it can so we can get to a place where everybody feels comfortable taking their masks off inside.
Ask 6 kids what they think about masks and you'll get 12 different opinions. But it's nice to ask and then to listen. For Nightly News Kids Edition, this has been Lucy Listens.
Lucy, thanks so much. And if you're feeling a little nervous about taking your mask off in school, our friend Dr. Natalie Azar is here with some insight.
Thanks, Dylan. So I'm going to give you kids some advice that I gave my own children when they started school this week and they went without their masks. And that is that, you know, the adults in their lives are looking out for them and are trying to make the decisions that are the best for them. And right now it's kind of an exciting time because based on all the things that we're measuring, like the number of cases and, you know, the number of people who are vaccinated and everything like that, it's kind of a good window of opportunity to experience life the way we did before the pandemic. And that means going without masks. There's a lot of things that I'm sure you guys missed out on, like, you know, seeing each other's faces when you're laughing or seeing a friend who might be upset about something. You know, a lot of these what we call nonverbal or non-talking cues about, your relationships that you probably didn't even realize that you were missing, but you were definitely missing. And I think it's important to remember that, this week and next week, hopefully, and the month after that, hopefully things continue to look good. And just as much as it was probably a real adjustment for you to have to put the mask on, it's understandable that it's also an adjustment to have to take the mask off. You guys did a great job wearing masks. I know it probably wasn't easy in the beginning, but I think, baby steps, one day at a time. Maybe you wear the mask half of the day for the first couple of days just to see how it feels. And I guarantee pretty soon it's going to start to feel pretty good to not have the mask on. I know in my children's schools, they had a lot of conversations about being really patient and tolerant if some kids want to continue to wear the mask, which is okay. You don't necessarily know if the person sitting next to you might have asthma or may have an underlying medical condition, and they just feel, safer wearing a mask, and that is okay. And of course, I think it just goes without saying, if you're not feeling well, if you have the sniffles, if you have a sore throat, if you have a cough, please wear a mask and get yourself tested just so you can protect, your other friends and your teachers in your classroom. And remember, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future, and there might come a time where we want you guys to wear your masks again, to keep yourselves safe, to keep your friends safe, to keep your family safe. And if that's the case, you got to dust them off, take them out of the drawer, and put them back on. But for now, take a little time, take some deep breaths, put a smile on your face, and enjoy this break that we're giving you.
Dr. Natalie Azar, thank you so much. Now let's switch gears and talk communication. We know many folks, young and old, like to send text messages every day to our friends and loved ones. But have you ever wondered just how your message gets from your phone to the person you're sending it to? This next story is inspired by a question that came in from one of our viewers.
Hi, I'm Zeke. I'm 9 years old and I'm from Washington, D.C. My question is, how do email and text messages work?
What a good question. I've often wondered the same thing. And our friend Savannah Sellers is here to help answer the question, how do text messages work?
Let's say you live in Tennessee and you want to text your friend in California. A really simple text message. Hello. Well, how does it get there? First off, you gotta know this. The whole country is divided up into cells. That's why it's called a cell phone. And each of these cells has a tower. When you hit send, your phone transmits your message and information about who you want to send it to the cell phone tower closest to you using radio waves. Our cell phones are constantly talking to these towers, so the network always knows where everybody is. That tower turns your message into electronic data, and it sends it through a huge network of cables right to the cell phone tower closest to your friend. Then, the tower near your friend does everything in reverse. It turns the data back into radio waves, sends it to your friend's phone, and your friend has a new text message. Even crazier, all this happens super fast, like a matter of seconds. And think about how many people are doing it at the same time. Now you know there's a lot going on behind the scenes when you press send.
Savannah, thanks so much. Time now for our pop quiz. And since I'm a meteorologist, I figured we'd have some fun with my favorite subject, weather. The question, when is the official start to spring here in the Northern Hemisphere? A, March 20th, B, April 1st, or C, March 1st? The answer coming up a little later on. And speaking of spring, it's time to spring forward. This weekend is daylight saving time. That's when we move the clocks forward 1 hour and lose an hour of sleep on Sunday, March 13th at 2 a.m. But good news, we gain an hour of daylight. Did you know 2 states do not observe daylight saving time? It's Hawaii and Arizona. Meantime, March is Women's History Month, and a special exhibit just opened in our nation's capital to honor women who are changing the course of history. Our friend Hallie Jackson has the details.
Consider the statues lining America's parks and city streets. What's missing? Women.
When our families and our kids are walking around, looking at the people that are held up as role models, they're not seeing anyone that looks like them. And we knew we wanted to fix that problem.
We're going to be 3D full body scanning you.
Now, the If Then initiative to support and honor women in STEM has created the biggest collection of statues depicting women ever assembled.
Nice.
This is gorgeous.
120 3D printed statues of real women, trailblazers in science, tech, math, and engineering, standing proudly at the Smithsonian in our nation's capital.
I am part of a team of scientists trying to save endangered species from extinction.
Women like Ray Wynn Grant, an ecologist and National Geographic explorer. It's all to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders.
If we show little girls all these amazing women doing amazing work in this world, then each of them are going to know that they too can grow up and change the world.
I wish I got to see this when I was a little kid.
Reminds me of how important representation is.
It's not just about my work, but about the work of everyone who looks like me.
Hallie, thanks so much. Finally, in our Inspiring Kids series, one student is on a mission to make sure young girls of color feel empowered.
Like many girls her age, Elena Wicker has big dreams.
Now I am going for the pre-med side. That's going amazing right now. I am planning to, after actually graduating from college, I plan to either go through the cardiothoracic surgeon or be a viral immunologist.
The 13-year-old is just finishing up her freshman year of college at not one, but 2 universities. Yes, college.
This last year has been definitely, I would say, a roller coaster.
The Texas teen graduated high school at the age of 12.
It's definitely been the most amazing thing being recognized for the work that I have done. I've done these amazing things. I'm also showing that I'm a girl of color, I'm young, and look at all the things I've done and look at all the amazing girls of color that can come and show that they've done the same thing.
Elena loves science.
It's not usual that you would see a lot of women or girls in STEM jobs.
STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And Elena is on a mission for change.
Well, when I saw that these girls weren't getting the opportunities that they deserved in STEM, especially at young ages, or even if they were adults, I was like, okay, I'm a girl of color, and I don't care how old I am, I'm going to make sure I give these girls the opportunities.
Elena founded Brown STEM Girl, an organization she founded to pave the way for others.
Me and my mom came up with the Brown STEM Girl, and now I give these opportunities in STEM, giving them mentorship and internships, even STEM abroad, giving the girls just a space to go all over the world and learn STEM. So that's just my passion.
Brown STEM Girl provides learning opportunities in STEM to young girls of color.
I get on Zoom with the girls and we do different STEM activities just to engage them in different types of STEM. And so I can engage with the girls so we can build this kind of community to show them that they have support.
Before we say so long, let's get the answer to our pop quiz. The question, when is the official start to spring here in the Northern Hemisphere? A, March 20th, B, April 1st, or C, March 1st? The answer is A, March 20th. But if you guessed March 1st, you're not wrong. March 1st is the unofficial meteorological beginning of spring, and that's based on annual temperatures, whereas the official spring start is March 20th, and that is based on the position of the Earth in relation to the sun. Well, that's going to do it for us. Parents, just a reminder, if your child has a question about any topic in the news, email a video to us at nightlynewskids@nbcuni.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at @nightlykids. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks so much for letting me join you guys this week on Nightly News Kids Edition. And as Lester likes to say, remember, take care of yourself and each other.